All right, good morning, everyone. Today is July 1st, 2021. It's the second half of the year already. So this is SCD community meeting. Let's start our first topic on the agenda.
Hello, everyone. I'm Merrick, or Seratus on GitHub. I wanted to bring to you today discussion about storage versioning. So if you are aware, around etcd 3.3, that was 4 years ago, there was a proposal to implement downgrades to etcd, so high availability downgrades. And upon stumbling on this issue and reading some history and testing what was implemented at that time, I found that there are some pieces, important pieces missing, or some things or some assumptions have changed since that make the design a little bit outdated. So I decided to refresh and rejuvenate the effort to introduce to start the work on downgrades again. And as I think it was pointed on the original issue, one of the important things that we need to solve first to guarantee reliable downgrades, we need to tackle storage versioning problem. So at the current state, the etcd has a great reliability thanks to rough consensus protocol, but there are still things missing around the upgrade and downgrade process to make it fully reliable. So I'm thinking here about better strategy than backup before upgrade, better story about how you upgrade multiple versions of etcd without running full cluster and doing it yourself, as Kubernetes currently does. On every startup of the Kubernetes, we run a whole history of etcd minor versions. And third, to unblock the downgrade proposal. So I will not go too deep into this discussion. I just wanted to mention it. There is I think email thread. There is a issue where I started collecting the work and planning the work to be implemented. But firstly, for sure, I wanted to get some feedback. The current feedback is, I think there are some thumbs ups, but I assume as this is pretty big work that changes some behaviors about CD, apparently mainly about what data it accepts, what data, what you need to do before upgrading, or what you need to do to make sure that your etcd will accept, I know, data from the older versions. Currently, it will always run on all three .x versions. There are some changes about this to make sure that it's always correct to start. So I don't think I want to take a whole discussion, but if you have some time, please feel free to look through it and let me know if there's anything we could change or improve, or is there anything I missed. I don't think there is doesn't make sense to go through every through the design, because there are I think 9 pages. But in short, I'm proposing to introduce storage version with hard schema requirements that will guarantee us that you can if the storage version of critical data dir of left some side etcd server is at some version, you can always run at this version. And there is a tool that you can downgrade to any version prior or any version in future, so that when we implement downgrades, it will be obvious if you need to, that your data is compatible when downgrading, or what you need to do to make it compatible. And I think that's all that I want to take today. Please, you can follow up on the issue or on the design, comment on the design itself.
Yeah, thank you, Merrick, for picking this up. A lot of people will benefit from this feature, and I can see the issue is very well structured and very nicely planned out already. So, and there is this design doc linked to this issue. So please, if you're interested, please take a look and let us add your comments in the issue and see what you think. Right?
So just a quick question: how far of the backward compatibility are we looking at? For example, if we are on 3.4, what kind of backward compatibility?
So the current, there is definitely multiple strategies we can take. Currently proposed is that we want to I want to maintain the approach that already etcd community has, that you always upgrade or downgrade by one version, but to remove the need to do that every time you want to do a bigger change. We also want to have a tooling similar what was done for etcd 2 version 2 to version 3, for you to be able to always offline, or as a tool that will verify if you can upgrade and downgrade it, but allow correctly, but allow you to do the upgrades as you want. So from any version to any, from, let's say, any 3.x version to any, for a tour at that point. And maybe in the future we can decide what will come if we change the storage version. But I want to keep the minimal compatibility in etcd, because this is needed this is how we upgrade already, and have a separate tooling that can give you much more flexibility.
Okay, yeah, let me read the doc and comment. Thanks.
All right, let's go to the next item. There. So, Bogdan.
Hello. Yeah. And then if you can open the proposal. Actually, we can keep it here. That's fine. Yes, sir.
Is it sure? Yes.
Okay, let's do this. So last time I've mentioned this idea of using better, more generic snapshot format. So this is a proposal for that. So basically, the problem is that we've tried to run a cluster with a different backend. And what we want to do, we want to deploy one or couple nodes in production with a different backend and see, let it run for some time, see the performance, collect the metrics. And the current problem is that because the snapshot is basically a copy of BoltDB, it will be difficult to do this. So this is basically changing the format to just use a serialized list of sort of bucket key value. And then the proposal goes into the details, what needs to change in the code. In terms of the drawbacks, so we have a POC of this, and we try to just restore the snapshot. We didn't see any performance impacts, but that's kind of one area that we want to do more testing. But the goal here is right now is just to get some feedback from people, like what's your opinion? If shall we move forward with this? Any questions? More sort of details needed for this part. There was a question about so we tried the Badger as the backend, and that's what kind of we did some load testing for that. Yeah, I'll share some more details about the Badger. I guess I didn't want to go into like the Badger versus Bolt in this discussion. I think maybe the universal snapshot format will be useful for sort of other scenes, not like other backends potential in the future.
So I would imagine if you swap out the entire back end, can you have your own version of snapshot instead of like having a universal snapshot for different types of backend? Like when you drop in a new backend, for example, Badger here, is it easier to just have a snapshot mechanism for just Badger, or is it not neatly decoupled in a way that you have to provide a universal?
I think the problem I'm thinking about is that, okay, in a cluster, let's say if a node is deployed with a different backend, right? And it's, let's say it gets to a situation where it needs to get a snapshot from a different member. I mean, it's a rare, I think it's maybe a rare condition. But in that case, if it gets a snapshot from a different member, then it needs to, okay, it needs to understand that what it's getting is, let's say, a bolt DB, right? So it will need to kind of open it as a bolt backend and then do this processing and put it into the Badger format, for example. So that's possible. I kind of I can put it into the alternatives, but it's just cumbersome to to get a something, and then you kind of have to look at it, like basically try to load. If you fail, then you need to try your Badger backend, right? So so that's the problem that I see with this. Does that make sense? Or
yeah, I think yeah, it makes sense. The challenge here I'm seeing is so if the data size is quite large, serializing or deserializing the entire database can take a very long time.
Yeah, I think we can measure. It's similar, I think, in terms of the performance. I expect something similar to defrag, because defrag right now goes through like the full DB and basically reinserts it back. Yeah, there's also overhead of basically serializing. But we can collect now. So we didn't see on 1 gigabyte size, we didn't see a difference, but of course we can, we should experiment with larger sizes. That was just a POC. But yeah, there is a concern. I agree. So like if the performance is terrible, then
Yeah, I'm just worried about it in a extreme case where, like, for example, you have a new node coming to a existing cluster, and basically the leader has to transform the entire DB from itself to the new member. And after the new member basically translated the entire DB and writes it down, it already outdated. So it has to ask for the DB again. So it becomes this weird loop. It might be an issue. Yeah, just want to raise the concern here.
So following on this model, like I assume currently it works that way, that we download or send the whole serialized bbold payload and write it to temporary file, and when the file is complete, we open it as a bbold database. Yep. So if we change the format, we can go probably with the simplest approach. Prepare the whole file on the sender side, send it in chunks, write it to file, and then when the file is complete, reload to bbold. Or we can kind of go in a streaming way. So any chunk that we send is complete. And as soon as we get chunk, we can start applying this to bbold. And that would probably remove a lot of delay.
Yeah, that's a good point. What we did in the POC, we did the full, kind of the stupid way. But yeah, that's...
The second observation is that I don't have a strong opinion here, but the design proposes like really mimic physical structure of the bbold. So send bucket, key, and value as written in bbold without any interpretation what's the key value and the bucket is. So kind of completely agnostic to the logic. So on as opposed to alternative that some format of snapshot understand that we are really sending a key value store. So we have some set of general fields describing metadata, probably dedicated proto-structure, and we have key value pairs given as a key revision value, not some way how we physically encode currently a revision and sub-revision. And this is probably big decision whether we want, the format should be kept agnostic to actual logic of etcd. So kind of property of bbold, or like generalized bbold, or should be very etcd specific, such that this proto dumped to the text file can be used for debugging or other form of analysis. Like it does not carry implementation details of etcd.
Right, interesting. Yeah, so encode the revisions, basically the layer of the KV store layer, kind of, not the backend layer.
Yes, plus metadata. Like
yeah.
I'm not saying it's a better solution, but some comparison, if we make such a big decision, would be worth analyzing.
Right. Okay. Good point.
What about downgradability? Like if we have this new feature, what does it mean if we want to downgrade to a version without this?
Right. Yeah, I put that in the proposal. I think it does create probably some edge cases. I think in general we can make a tool to if you use snapshots to have your backups or something like that, we can create a tool to convert your existing, let's say, backups to the new format. But I think there's a little bit TBD in terms of edge cases. If you downgrade in the cluster and some node, basically it's like, okay, some nodes in the cluster are using the old format and some are new, so that probably will be problematic.
Okay, so it has challenges in rolling downgrade, basically.
But
yeah, I think so I think this type of changes, it will have a problem of so you have to be careful when you roll in your cluster for this change, definitely. Because
I think it's handled by the Merrick proposal, actually, and part of the work already done, that the protocol between etcd nodes is version, and the version is kind of aligned to the oldest member. So only when the protocol version advances, then the new format of snapshot can be used.
Right. That's a good point.
Yeah, so 100% on the Peter's comment, but before we even go there, I think before we move forward with this, I would like to know if this an alternative backend can eliminate the need for the defrag. Because if the badger turns out to be close to zero, a space implication, whenever we run the compact physically on the DB file, it just get rid of all the database size. I reduce the database file size according to the compact. If that's the case, we don't even need to do the defrag. So yeah, that will be the one of the main benefit of moving to the SST table a database. So if you can do some, even a POC would be good, and see if we can reduce the database size. I think that would be the huge.
Okay.
Benefit.
Yeah, I saw. Yeah, I'll rerun the tests we have to collect the size. I got your point. Yes. So basically, you don't need to defrag because the Bolt, sorry, the Badger is a stable-based database versus the B3 in Bolt, right? That's what you basically mean. Yeah.
Yeah. One more observation, like one of the problems we have currently is that when we send a snapshot, we send a full physical snapshot. So including the entries that compaction would remove. So part of aspect of creating a format working in a physical layer would be that snapshots are auto-compacted on sending.
Yeah, that's another good point. Yeah, I think that's like not specific to BoltDB. I think that's why we're like how we implement compact in the MVCC layer, because we don't really delete the key value pairs directly whenever we have a compaction. We just mark it as compacted, and then I think we clean that up like later. So yeah, that's another good point we need to address.
Right. So that will be, I think, a good sign if we go with this. So question: what will it take to move, like to make a decision on this? So I want to kind of make what I was trying to do is to separate the Badger and this. So kind of trying to make this a little bit separate from switching the backend, because that seems to be like much harder proposition, and also we didn't see like huge improvements with the Badger, but we can consider Bose. So I understand this is probably a pretty large change. But I think the benefits is maybe not as like, okay, this is this sense will be hugely better if we do this. But I think in general it seems like sort of better abstraction to use the sort of this format if the performance is acceptable, and yeah, we can do that batch streaming. They'll probably improve, not degrade the transfer. So yeah, the question, but yeah, I think the downgrade and the seems like a difficult change, but yeah, what are opinions about proceeding with this?
I like the concept of decoupling the implementation detail of bbolt from the actual format independently, whether like we switch to Badger or not. Like it just opens the possibility to experiment and potentially even fix database in case of problems.
Right.
So top level, I'm for it.
Yeah, but maybe I can add up a little bit here. So, actually, in my company, like ByteDance, actually, we are in one team. They want to implement some in-memory DB. They want the strong consistency, and also using a single route. But they don't want the data. They don't want the data to be persistent. They just want it to be fast. So in this case, if they if the data lost, they're fine with it. But they want it to be fast and also the strong consistency. So in this case, they are thinking, using some other backend for the EC for this ECD, and just and without saving all the data to the disk. I think this is probably a use case for some company.
Yeah, I think that's a great point, that in memory, and yeah, it's linked. Thanks for linking that issue.
Yeah, so Bogdan and Wilson, yeah, let's move forward with the plan. We can work on the making those as a more abstract interface layer.
Okay, so I'll submit some POC and we can discuss the format, and I think I'll try to get the details and some kind of a plan together, like milestones, and then we can move forward then. Great.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, thank you. So next, I think Merrick is yours, the flaking test.
Yeah, thanks. Me again. When starting implementation, I noticed at least, or it really impacted me, the current state of the tests. So I calculated that we basically have a 53% of failure rate on whole PRs. So, and this is based only on PRs that already were merged to master. So I proposed to do some action about this, basically to have a community agree on the target that we want to reach, and automate a process to kind of generate and assign, maybe in the future assign issues about specific tests. And just wanted to get a quick opinion, and also maybe if anyone is interested in helping it, because from what I know, maintainers can retry the tests, and if you're not maintainer, you basically need to repush and retry whole suite, and this is really can take upwards of 10 retries sometimes, or at least, or maybe I'm unlucky. Yeah, I think that's all. So if you want to help with automating like the flaking, to make tests less flaky, let me know. And I think that's all I wanted to give.
Is there any more the specific issues you created under this, so that anybody can jump in and help fix?
I think we can, I can start splitting them more. I think mostly is when we have a JUnit reports and the data is available for anyone to download and use to analyze. I think then it will be much easier to start splitting the work, because you will be able to see the data. But yeah, I can work on that.
Thank you. I think we have a need help label, something like that. Maybe you can add those labels as well.
Sounds good.
All right, thank you.
I posted a link to 5 issue with area testing flake label that's were manually identified as frequent source of failures, flakes.
Mm-hmm. Sounds good. Maybe I hope that automating will help make it introduce a long-term improvement. Yeah. Okay.
All right, thank you. So the next item, Vivek.
Hey, hi. So this is just an update to the namespace quota design. So there were a few comments on those, and then I think I've answered most of those, and I've kind of made changes to the document to kind of accommodate for the feedback that I was getting. We've been talking to the community, and we've been looking to kind of get feature parity with other products that offer like sort of a similar product. So I think this is a good addition to HCD in like the upcoming future, and I think it's just great to get more feedback from you guys and the community altogether. We also kind of briefly touch base with the Kubernetes community, and currently like they don't have like kind of a dedicated need for this, but I think we can expand like once we have
Is it my?
So I think it's a good addition. So just wanted to give you a heads up. Like this is what we've been doing so far.
We lost the last 30 seconds of what you were saying.
Oh,
probably.
I'm sorry about that. Sorry about that. So yeah, no, I was just saying, yeah, we touch base with the Kubernetes community, and currently they don't see like an exact need for this. But I think once we do introduce this, there's scope for improvement even on their end. Like they can track different resources, different namespace storage usage, and stuff like that. So yeah, just I think it's a great addition to etcd, and I think it just even Zookeeper has something like this, and I think it's just great to have like parity with everything that else is like offering the same set of feature set or solving the same set of problems. So yeah, just a heads up on like what we've been doing so far with this.
Is there a issue linked to this?
There is. So I think it's at the bottom of the page. If you just scroll down at the end, like completely.
Okay, I'll add it to the doc.
Yeah. Got it. Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
All right. Let's move to the next item. Sadiq, is that yours?
Yep. Yeah. Just real quick. Actually, we had a PR came up yesterday for change, new change law for 3.6, and so I think what we support is the latest 3 major releases, right? Having 3.5 out now, I think it's the time to change the recommendation for the etcd version for production. So mainly, Giho and others, I thought, because we're having meeting today, I'm like, let me just put it here and discuss it. I think it's the 3 last releases for sure. So does it make sense, Giho, to just change this current recommendation and include 3.5 now that it's been out for like a couple of weeks, right?
I think for sure we can increment the patch versions and then 3.5. But I have a concern about we don't really have a upgrade downgrade test with the multiple node. Like we just do it with everything is single node. So I'm curious if Kubernetes community upstream has anything with the multiple node when they do the etcd integration testing.
Yeah, no, that's a good point. That's what I was wondering, that, I mean, it's been a couple of weeks, but yeah, how much the feedback wise, right? Yeah, sorry, go ahead, Josh.
Oh, wait, multi-node, not multi-cluster. I was going to say there are no multi-cluster E2E tests because official multi-cluster functionality is not well developed, but you're just saying multi-node.
Yeah, so I can clarify. So I think the way the Kubernetes is doing the integration test is just using the integration package with the single node. But ideally, we should have a full end-to-end test. Like when we have 3 etcd node for 1 cluster, and then 2 node in the old, and then 1 node is in the new versions, and then do all those rolling upgrade and then also downgrade. So
yes,
we don't have that part as fast.
Yeah, we have tests like that in Kubernetes. Let me warn you that that kind of tests tend to be the source of a lot of deflaking.
I see.
Sometimes for good reasons, right? Because you have version compatibility breaking, but a lot of it has to do with, one of the problems is that when you update your software version, you also update the test version. So this is the question of which test are you going to run against the mixed version cluster. And so about half of the failures that we have in those integration tests actually have more to do with test version compatibility than they do with software version compatibility. I mean, I feel like it's something we need to do. It's a chunk of work for that reason.
Okay, yeah, it's good to know. So I think we will take an action item to get those. I can own this, but we will have some kind of multi-node full end-to-end test, including the rolling upgrade. But for now, next step, can we just remove the 3.2 after you sync up with the SAM? Are we still supporting 3.2 recommending?
Yeah, I don't think so, right? Because for what I know, it's like 3 major releases that, even with any backporting or anything, that's what we do. So, I don't think 3.2, will be it's really supporting, right?
And so yeah, let's think of let's follow with Sam and then see if we can remove 3.2 and then 3.5. Yeah, I think like as long as we have those like a 4 and 20 tests, like we can edit.
Okay, yeah, that sounds great. Yeah, thanks.
All right. Okay. Now our last but not least item, Josh. Let me share this one. Okay, there.
Yep. And this is short. Basically, Nick and the CNCF Docs team are done with the work that they are doing for our project. And so further development on the docs and the website and stuff is kind of up to us. They've kind of completed the major restructuring of it, which has had the desired effect of tremendously improving our searchability. There's still a lot left to do in terms of developing content. Like now that we have the new website and docs arrangement, I was looking through our installation docs and it's a bit dated and kind of focused on building from source, which is not what most users want to know. So but the nice thing about it being all restructured now is we can now fix those things one at a time instead of needing to get into, oh, first we have to fix the structure of the docs. So I think they did a terrific job on that. The docs look much better now. They're much more browsable. And you know, we've eliminated some ongoing chronic issues like the need to rev the docs every time we do a patch release.
Yeah, thank you for bringing that up. Yeah, it's in really good shape right now. I appreciate that. So,
yeah,
go ahead.
Gio, I'll let you go first. Go.
Also, Josh, does that mean like we don't get any more like a funding for the like any like a new features to the website? Like just curious about like how would that work with the CNCF?
That would get handled differently. I would say probably the CNCF is not going to put any resources on that for a while. Just because if you look across their team, they've devoted basically for the last, whatever it is, 6 months or so, they devoted 1/8 of their team, you know, to working on etcd. But CNCF has whatever it is, 70 projects. So they're not going to come back to us for a while. So stuff for, you know, the next year or what, anything other than minor bug fixes to the work they already did. Stuff for the next, you know, year, couple of years or so is going to need to be up to us and or sponsors. So if we, like, for example, if we had particular web design goals, we might look at hiring an actual designer. And we could absolutely talk about that because I think that's something that we could get sponsored. But it wouldn't come from that team.
Okay, makes sense. Yeah, I think that's reasonable. Yeah, thank you.
Yep. Yeah. So I think in that case we can, you know, declare victory here, right, and close this issue. And like you said, Josh, you know, we handle bugs as it comes. You know, what I'm saying, or not? Oh, no.
I don't want to close this issue because it's a tracking issue. And if you look at Nate's commentary, he has a long list of which things he did and which things remain to be done.
Okay.
There's a bunch of empty checkboxes in there. So I'd like to leave the tracking issue open, even though we're closing the other issues that were things that Nate was specifically working on.
Okay, you know, that's fine. Yeah.
So like, I mean, for things on there, one of the things is to an improved getting started guide that focuses more on regular users and less on people wanting to build the code to hack on it. And that's not done. So, you know, as an example of one of the items on there.
Okay. Yeah. No. Then I mean, yeah, we can keep it open and see, you know, whoever can work on the remaining issues, right? Or so yeah, that's cool.
All right, thank you, everyone. Looks like that's all we have on our agenda. Is there anything else anybody want to bring up? Yeah, we already have a lot of exciting contents today. I'll go back and look at the links in the agenda. Otherwise, it's for the end of this meeting. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thanks.
Bye.